A spiritualist has already warned them about what's coming. And believe me, it's not just anything. The darkness they planted will return with force. And this time, there will be no escape. They will face judgment. And you will have the greatest victory of your life. Right now, there are heavy, toxic energies, even energies of death, being thrown at you without rest. But your spiritual guides are not standing by idly. They are cleansing your path, removing every block that has been put in your way. 2 women, filled with envy and venom, have been pulling strings against you. One of them not only speaks ill of you. She is trying to involve herself where she doesn't belong, competing for something that will never be hers, your romantic relationship. They are trying to isolate you, to break your peace, to make you feel alone. But their plans will collapse, because divine judgment has already fallen upon those 2 dark souls. The universe's justice is on your side. Prepare yourself. Something big is coming. A blessing that will shake your life. The spiritualist already said it. You are not to be played with, because you are a child of God. All the evil they wished upon you will come back to them multiplied by 2. The victory is yours. The blessing is already on its way. And listen well, your enemies will have no choice but to either join you or disappear from your path. Claim what is yours. Write, "I claim my blessing," in the comments. There is a woman in your life who has a habit of dyeing her hair different colors, and not long ago she was laughing at you. Maybe you noticed, or maybe not. But the truth is that something is happening around her, and today we're going to talk about that. You see, this woman isn't as far from your life as she seems. Maybe you thought there wasn't much connection between you, but in reality, there is something deeper linking her to you, possibly unresolved feelings, or maybe a third person in the middle of this whole mess. What I feel is that she's been close to someone important to you, someone in your inner circle, or someone you have deeply valued. I'm seeing her now, this woman, and I'm getting the sense that she's not just close to you. She's been talking about you with another woman. They've been gossiping, making cruel, mocking remarks behind your back. But what they don't know, or rather, what they couldn't imagine, is that things are not as they think. This woman, who believes she has already secured the victory, who's convinced she'll keep the person you loved, is blinded by arrogance. She mocks you, thinking that you'll end up alone, without a partner, without support. But let me tell you something. What she has now will not last. What she sees as her great triumph will turn into betrayal, or a heartbreak so deep it will leave her speechless. What's coming in her life will shake her world. Everything she thought was secure will fall apart. And that's when you'll see that things are not always what they seem. Back to the woman who mocks you and looks down on you. I can see her clearly. She is dark-skinned, and something tells me her initial might match the 5th contact in your phone. Someone who plays a significant role in your life. Whether you believe it yet or not, it's true. She and the other woman I mentioned didn't just gossip. They made spiteful comments about who you are, what you've been through, and what you've accomplished. But here's what will shock you. One of them, in secret, read your cards. Yes, the same woman who laughed at you, criticized you, and thought you were already defeated. She couldn't resist her curiosity. She wanted to know if you were really as protected, as blessed, as people say. And what she saw in the cards left her stunned. Instead of finding signs that you were struggling or failing, she found the opposite. She saw that you are surrounded by powerful light, by a resilient energy that very few people possess. She expected signs of weakness, but saw only strength, growth, and divine protection. And that scared her. Instead of peace, the reading left her with a strange unease, like she had touched something sacred she shouldn't have. Because even while she was speaking badly about you, Something deep inside her was warning her. Don't underestimate them. Things are not what they seem, and what the cards showed her changed her completely. She was also shown that the person she's with now, that person she thought she was going to be with forever, doesn't really belong to her. That relationship she believed was secure has no solid foundation. In fact, it's more unstable than she ever imagined. The cards revealed that the happiness she thought she had found is actually built on something that will eventually collapse. What now feels like a victory for her will soon turn into disappointment. What this woman doesn't know is that, despite having laughed at you, despite spreading gossip at your expense, deep inside she is filled with growing unease, a worry that won't let her rest. Though her face shows mockery and contempt, inside she is full of doubts and fears. She knows that not everything is as it seems, and that in the end, paths don't always cross the way one hopes. So take heart, because time has a way of putting everything in its rightful place. What now feels like humiliation or defeat for you is actually marking the beginning of something far better. This woman is going to be in for a big surprise, and you're going to be in a much better place than she ever imagined. When she looked into your destiny, she saw something she didn't expect, something that left her with the feeling that the story between you and her isn't over. Maybe she thought you were already in the past, that everything had ended. But something inside told her she was wrong. She couldn't ignore the fact that there's something huge on your path, in your life, something that will change everything. And the most shocking part for her was realizing that what she tried to take from you was never really hers. No matter how much she tried, no matter how hard she fought for what she thought belonged to her, the truth is, it never did. And deep down, she knew it. Right now, you might start to feel certain changes around you. Don't be surprised if she suddenly reappears in your life, if she starts sending you messages, or if her attitude toward you shifts. It might all seem a bit strange, as if she's suddenly more interested, more drawn to you than before. This is not a coincidence, and you shouldn't take it lightly. When someone feels afraid of you but can't stop thinking about you, it's only a matter of time before they try to get close again, even if indirectly, as if they can't resist. The fear she feels for you doesn't just go away, and the more she tries to ignore it, the more it pulls her back toward you. It's not easy for her to handle, but she's trying. Even if she doesn't make it obvious, she will get closer. She'll make herself known in some way. The most interesting part of all this is what this woman discovered about you, and how deeply intrigued she is by it. What's coming for you, what's about to happen in your life, is so big, so powerful that she can't stop thinking about it. She can't understand how someone like you could be so destined for success, for something far greater than anything she ever dreamed for herself. While they were talking about you during one of those conversations, someone close to her, someone who had also looked at you with disdain, confessed something that left her even more surprised. That person admitted they had gone to see a witch, had asked for a card reading to find out more about you, to understand the powerful energy that surrounded you, and what the witch revealed left her completely stunned, almost terrified. Because what she heard wasn't what she expected. The witch told her that you are very dangerous, but not in the way they thought. You're not dangerous because you hurt people, or because of your actions or words. You're dangerous because you carry something that many people don't understand, something that can't easily be explained. You have a protective angel. And that angel is no ordinary being. It is powerful, shielding you from bad energy and harmful intentions others might direct at you. That being, that invisible guardian, makes you untouchable. It causes negative energy to bounce away from you. When the witch began the reading, she noticed something strange, something she doesn't see every day. A spiritual barrier, like an invisible shield surrounding you, preventing any negative energy from getting through. This surprised her greatly, because as she explained, it's not something commonly seen. In fact, she said it was extremely rare, and not everyone has that kind of protection. The witch told her you have a unique destiny, something not everyone achieves, a light inside you that many desire but few understand. That light doesn't just make you special, it makes you almost unstoppable. And it's that light that attracts people who try to take advantage of you. But it's also what pushes them back, what makes them afraid. Those who want to hurt you, who look at you with envy or resentment, feel small next to who you are, so small next to what you carry that they can't even get close without fearing the force of the energy that surrounds you. The most incredible part, the thing that woman who once criticized you never expected, was that the witch warned her. Anyone who tries to harm you, whether through bad actions, manipulation, or even witchcraft, will face a punishment far greater than they can imagine. The witch told her she had seen this pattern many times before, that she had observed it in people with divine protection as strong as yours. She explained that when someone like you is protected by such a powerful angel, any harm sent your way bounces back, but with double the intensity. It's not a game. It's not something to take lightly. It's a universal law that always applies when there is a pure and powerful energy like yours in someone's path. This revelation completely terrified the woman who once thought she was in control, who believed she had the upper hand. After hearing what the witch said, she started to doubt. She had thought she could manipulate the situation, that she could move forward without consequences. But now, knowing that much greater forces are working in your favor, forces beyond her understanding or control, she began to feel small, vulnerable. Everything changed for her. The confidence with which she had acted before began to crumble. She knew she had done wrong, that she had tried to take what did not belong to her. But she never imagined that those actions would bring consequences far beyond what she had planned. What if what the witch said was true? What if you really are invulnerable to the dark energies that surround us? As unbelievable as it seemed, that idea wouldn't leave her mind. And worse, every time it came up, more doubt took hold of her. Instead of feeling reassured by what she heard, it triggered alarms inside her. Her common sense, the one that usually kept her grounded, began to waver. Something inside her started to suspect that everything she had done, all the small moves, every word spoken against you, wasn't just putting her in an uncomfortable position. It could ruin her life in ways she hadn't even imagined. Since that encounter, she started noticing the little signs she used to ignore, things that made her wonder if her relationship with that special person, whom you didn't even know well, was on the verge of collapse. But it wasn't just that. Now, every time she crossed paths with you, she felt an inexplicable pressure, like a dark cloud looming, ready to burst at any moment. From that moment on, her attitude began to change radically. Outwardly, she still tried to act like she didn't care. But inside, she couldn't ignore the witch's words. That tiny seed of doubt had grown and spread through her entire being, like a shadow she couldn't shake off. Though she tried to show indifference and continue life as usual, the truth is, she couldn't stop thinking about what the witch had said about the energies that surround you. What had once seemed like a joke or an empty threat had now turned into a reality in her mind. One that, although hard to accept, she could no longer ignore. Every time she saw you, that unspoken fear began to take shape. And the strangest part is, after that conversation with the witch, things in her life began to subtly shift. At first, she didn't even notice. But soon, those small problems that used to seem insignificant started to multiply. Distancing, unnecessary arguments, looks that used to be warm and loving, now turning cold and filled with distrust. The atmosphere in her life began to fall apart. And that protection around you, which once seemed intangible, now felt stronger than ever. though at first she couldn't understand what was happening. Little by little she realized that somehow, the energies protecting you were becoming something much bigger than she had imagined. That protection she thought was just an idea now felt real, tangible, a barrier she couldn't get past. And as you can imagine, that was no coincidence. There's nothing random about what's happening. Everything had a purpose. And even though she tried to ignore it, the signs were screaming in her face. Something in her life was falling apart. Something deep inside her told her she had crossed a line, that her actions were having a real impact, but not in the positive way she had hoped. What she once saw as a simple desire for control, something to make her feel powerful and superior, had now transformed into something completely different. Fear. Fear of the consequences she might face if she didn't stop interfering in your life, if she didn't walk away from everything that was dragging her down a dark and dangerous path. That sense of superiority she had felt for so long had vanished. What remained was a growing feeling of insecurity and anxiety. Now, everything she had once considered a game of power and control no longer felt so safe. As the consequences of her actions began to take shape, she started to realize that what she thought was her advantage, her tool for dominating her world, was now turning against her. She began to feel trapped, as if she had fallen into her own trap, a labyrinth from which she couldn't escape. And the worst part was that deep down, she knew there was no turning back from what she had done. While she was playing with forces she didn't fully understand, something far greater and more powerful than herself, something not even the witch could have foreseen, was taking shape. The truth was, for once, the one who was worried wasn't you. It was her. And that worry didn't stem only from things not going the way she had planned, but from an inner awareness that something far greater than herself was about to teach her a lesson. When someone is surrounded by such pure and powerful energy as yours, it doesn't matter what they do or say. Destiny has a very peculiar way of making sure everyone gets what they deserve. And although she didn't fully understand it yet, the truth was that destiny was already in motion. It's interesting how, despite the warnings the witch had given her about your protection, she couldn't resist the temptation to dig deeper. Desperation mixed with curiosity pushed her to take one more step, a step that could very well be the last wrong decision she would ever make. Despite everything she had been told, she couldn't resist that impulse. The witch had been clear. She needed a ritual, something she thought could be her last resort. She asked for a black hen, something symbolic, and a photo of you. At first, it didn't seem so serious, but she had no idea what she was about to unleash. Without thinking twice, the woman began searching for you on social media, hoping to find something she could use. She knew she needed something personal, something that could serve as a tool in the ritual. After a while of searching, she found the perfect image. With the photo in hand and the hen ready, she rushed everything to the witch, convinced that with this ritual, she would gain the power she so desperately desired. She couldn't see past her envy and desperation. She was blinded by the fear of losing what she felt was hers, without understanding that she was up against something far stronger than herself. She played the game without questioning it, doing as she was told, unaware that she was tampering with forces she could never have imagined. What she didn't understand was that the dark energies she was invoking, especially against someone like you, protected by such a powerful force, were like wielding a double-edged sword. She was playing with fire without realizing it, and the worst part was that by doing so, she ensured the consequences would be far greater and more painful than she ever anticipated. The witch had prepared everything with meticulous care. She lit several brightly colored candles that illuminated the dark room, creating a tense and mysterious atmosphere. Herbs were carefully arranged in small piles around an improvised altar. As she recited words in an ancient tongue, almost like a murmur, the flames danced, casting a dim light that filled the room with heavy air. She held your photo in her hands, eyes fixed on it, as if trying to pierce your soul through the image. The black hen stood at the center of the altar, and the witch never stopped whispering her spells. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. Everything seemed to flow almost perfectly, as if the ritual were taking shape, as if she might finally get what she wanted. But suddenly, the witch stopped. Not only did she stop the incantation, her expression visibly changed. She looked at the photo with a seriousness she had never shown before. It was as if something had completely unsettled her. Her usually unshaken face now reflected doubt. She looked at the woman who had hired her with a penetrating gaze and told her something strange was happening. Her voice, normally firm and confident, now held a tone of uncertainty. She said there was something unusual about the energy coming from that photo. No matter how hard she tried to continue the ritual, something was blocking it. It was as if an invisible force was building a wall between them and their target, something they could not pass. The woman, who had been watching with great hope, was now frozen in place. She didn't understand what was happening. The witch had followed every instruction to the letter, every step with precision, but despite her efforts, the ritual wasn't flowing as it should. Instead of feeling the dark energy advance, the witch felt a resistance like never before. Visibly concerned, she began explaining in a grave and serious tone that the force surrounding you was so powerful that even dark energies couldn't penetrate it. As she said this, a chill ran down the woman's spine. How could something as simple as a ritual fail to break through that barrier? The witch confessed that your protection was so intense, no magic, no matter how dark, could reach you. It was as if an invisible layer surrounded you, a protection so strong that not even ill intentions could reach your path. That left the woman speechless. She couldn't understand how something so simple could be so unbreakable. She had hired the witch hoping everything would go as planned, but now she found herself in the middle of chaos. The fear inside her began to grow, and uncertainty consumed her mind. If she couldn't break through that barrier, what was she supposed to do now? Should she give up? The woman no longer knew whether to continue with the ritual or abandon the idea altogether. Fear took hold of her, and doubt began to seep into her soul. She felt that something much greater than witchcraft was protecting you, something she couldn't understand. The witch, observing her client's confusion, explained that what was happening wasn't normal. There are people, she said, with protection, so powerful that any attempt to harm them simply wouldn't work. In fact, the witch warned that in some cases, when that protective barrier can't be penetrated, the evil intended can rebound with even greater force, and that rebound could be devastating. Despite the witch's words, the woman couldn't comprehend what was happening. She was nervous, confused, and afraid. She had gone so far in her pursuit of what she desired, and now everything seemed to be slipping through her fingers. With a serious and almost fearful expression, the witch warned her more firmly, "Be careful, because if the evil doesn't go in, the blow might come back to you, or to someone close to you." The witch's words echoed through the room, filled with an uncomfortable truth. The woman, hearing the warning, felt as though the air had grown even heavier. Fear overwhelmed her completely, and for a moment, she doubted whether she had chosen the right path. The witch insisted it was useless to keep trying, that the protection around that person was so strong that any attempt to harm them would only bring disaster upon herself. The atmosphere in the room grew even denser. The candles, once burning brightly, began to flicker strangely, as if an invisible presence was destabilizing them. Their light became unstable, dancing in erratic waves. The room grew colder, and a chill ran through the woman's body. The air was so tense, it felt like it could be cut with a knife. Something in the environment, something unseen, had been disturbed. Visibly upset and worried, the witch told the woman this wasn't normal. She had never experienced anything like it before. She explained that some people's protection is so strong that not even dark energies can pierce it. And, worse, any attempt to harm them could backfire with such force that it would end up affecting the sender. That only made the woman more nervous. Fear overtook her, and she began to question whether she truly wanted to continue down this path. As the witch unsuccessfully tried to continue the ritual, the tension in the air intensified. The woman began to realize she had made a mistake. Maybe she had taken a path far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. Each word from the witch made her more aware of the consequences of her actions. As the witch invoked more energies in an attempt to break the barrier surrounding the protected person, something strange happened. A chill ran down the witch's spine, like she was touching something she shouldn't, something that filled her with a discomfort she had never felt before. The energy in the room became even more tense, nearly unbearable. As the witch pressed on with her attempts, the effects became more tangible. The candles flickered violently. The air grew so heavy it felt like the room might collapse. The woman, witnessing all this, began to feel that she was caught in something far greater than herself. The consequences of her actions could be far more severe than she had imagined. What had begun as a ritual to harm someone had turned into a painful lesson for herself. Realizing she couldn't break through that protective barrier, the witch finally stopped. She warned the woman that it was best to walk away from that path, before the consequences became even more serious. When the witch gave her that warning, it hit her like a bucket of cold water. But it was already too late to turn back. The ritual had already been performed. And even though her attempt to harm you had no effect, something inside her began to fall apart. At first, she thought everything had gone well, that she had achieved what she wanted. But in the end, what had started as an act of manipulation and control became a personal nightmare. From that night on, everything began to change, for the worse. At first, it was subtle, almost unnoticeable, but soon, the strange sensations became impossible to ignore. That woman who had once felt so confident began to feel as though she were being consumed by a force she couldn't understand. Suddenly, the nights were no longer peaceful. Terrifying nightmares woke her in the middle of the night, sweating and with her heart racing. She dreamed of dark figures watching her, of situations so vivid that the fear lingered even after waking. But what disturbed her most wasn't the dreams. It was the feeling that something or someone was following her at all times. She no longer felt alone. In her mind, she could sense a strange, invisible presence that seemed to follow her everywhere. It was as if her actions had opened a door to something much greater, something she could no longer control.